It is time for another viewer match, and what I got for you today is a Zerg vs Protoss played between two Silver League players. Spawning in the top left corner, playing with the red Zerg pieces, we've got none other than the Zerg by the nickname of Cubaron. Cubaron, I think that's how I'm gonna go ahead and pronounce his name, and his opponent, spawning in the cross position of Odyssey LE, playing in blue, he goes by the nickname of Yoshi. Now, like I mentioned, this is indeed going to be a Silver League match, and the first thing you may already notice as well is that Yoshi does not need to wall off, of course. Worrying about Zerglings in the earlier part of the game, that's something you do in the higher levels. I don't really know exactly what Cubaron has got in store for us today though, because there's already a drone moving across the map at this point in the game. Is he gonna go for a proxy hatchery, or what is he planning on doing? Where is he sending that thing? I am not entirely sure. We'll keep a I was gonna say, we'll keep a close eye out on that one. I think he's actually expanding to the gold right here at the 50-second mark. He's gonna go ahead and start mining from this base right from the get-go. And of course, that will give him a ton of additional income. Now, from casting a whole lot of viewer games so far, right? Whenever I've seen people do this, where they expand towards the gold right away, usually, right, they are not really very much so used to the amount of income that they generate from getting the gold base. And usually that means that they're going to be flooding resources like no tomorrow. We'll keep an eye out on whether or not that is going to be the case for Cubaron, because in the meantime, the double gas has already been taken by Yoshi. He's going for a gateway as well, so of course he will be able to follow this up with any tech of his choice. I'm going to make an assumption right now. Considering he's not, you know, cannon rushing, I'm gonna make the assumption that Yoshi is gonna go for a Stargate. I'm gonna say he's gonna go for a Stargate into Dark Templar. That seems to be a Protoss thing to do in Silver League. That I think is what exactly his plan is. And to be fair, Stargate is still the most popular opener as well at the professional level of play. And actually, hold that thought, because there's a second drone also making its way across the map. And I think I can make the assumption of where this one is headed. Please go for the double gold base. Come on now. Cubaron, you don't need spawning pools, dude. Oh, you already have one? That's alright, but you don't need anything else. Just go ahead, get yourself that gold base up, go for the double gold base expansion. You're gonna be able to get resources for days. So the base right here in the bottom left corner has indeed been finished up. He's also started making a couple of drones over here. No transfer or whatever, which is definitely a good thing. The transfer time right there would be forever. But Cubaron will be able to follow this up with additional gas as well, and he's just simply gonna start building up some additional tech right here in the form of a Roach Warren. Mothership core in the production tab right now as well. Yoshi will be able to, at the very least, poke around the base for the time being here. But he has absolutely no clue about his opponent's mass expansion just yet. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even realize yet where his opponent has spawned. But of course, Odyssey is going to be a two-player map, so I'm sure that he's got a basic understanding of where his opponent is more than likely going to be located. Now, two Zealots already standing side by side. It looks like they've had a bit of an argument there, not willing to face each other just yet. But I think that a third one will be joining here in the middle, so hopefully they can hold hands right next to each other and prevent any Zerglings from getting into the main base here of the Protoss. There we go. Third one coming in. Come on, Yoshi. Get your dude's information. You can indeed block off a ramp just like that, by the way. There we go. These guys are not gonna let any Zerglings come through. And actually, oh, I was right. Yoshi going not for a single Stargate, however, following it up with a second one here as well. So Yoshi going straight into the double Stargate here off of a single base. That does mean that he's not gonna be capable of really affording a whole lot here. Now, speaking of which, like, Cubaron is already getting himself a solid amount of income. Mining from that single gold base here. I'm sure that he will shortly, there we go, start mining here from the other in the top right corner too. He's done a good job so far at actually keeping his minerals low. I mean, you can see in the income tab, right? There's going to be a substantial income increase here for the Zerg player in red, but he also won't really have a whole lot to defend against any kind of imminent aggression. Yoshi also getting himself that Nexus now on the low ground, so eventually he's going to be able to ramp up that production as well. And with the Warp Gate finishing up, I would really like to see him at least, you know, make a bit of a poke around the map. I mean, you got 3 Zealots. There's very little here for your opponent to defend against that. No Zergling speeder whatsoever. Cubaron, in the meantime, did tech up towards a lair, so he's going to be capable of getting a Hydra Den out. But so far, this has been an extremely passive game from both of these players. Now, Yoshi, chrono boosting out one of the Stargates. He's going to be able to get those double Oracles out just a tad bit faster. And of course, Oracles are absolutely incredible at harassing their opponent. I mean, a single Queen sure can do a little bit of trouble, but 2 Oracles will be able to kill that absolutely no problem. Cubarando is still doing a good job right now at spending his resources. Rather impressed with that. I've seen a lot of Silver League games that look similar, like the one where the Zerg, whenever they go for like a really quick gold base, right? Because this is obviously something you see a lot at the pro level. Whenever the Zerg goes for a really quick golden base, that they just start ramping up the minerals. But so far, Cubarando, look at that spending. He's been doing a very good job when it comes to the spending, at the very least, so far. Now, looks like Yoshi, he's got the correct idea right here by going for the double Oracle opener, but instead of opening up aggressively and trying to zap away and slow down his opponent, he went for the stasis ward here at the front. Handful of Zerglings who will be stopped here. They're not going to be able to get their way into the natural of the Protos. I don't know if Yoshi has yet realized, actually, that these units are here. I guess he must have a glimpse of them by now. But he's going to follow this up with a couple of Phoenixes as well. So it looks like we've got an extremely passive Yoshi at this point in the game. I'm starting to wonder, though, is this actually, like, did this, you know, I loaded up the replay, it showed me that both of these guys were in Silver League, but so far, this has been, you know, the most passive Silver League game that I've ever seen. I mean, we do see the Novatized Carapace follow up right now, with both players playing extremely defensively. And the vast majority that I've seen thus far, both players are just simply trying to end the game as soon as they possibly can, with any kind of cheese that is available. But either of them, or both players rather, are really focused on defensive play here, at the very least for right now. 4 additional hatcheries being planted down here by the Zerg. He's mass expanding all over the map. There's an infestation pit going down, but already is the Zerg going up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bases here before even hitting up his first bunch of... well, I guess he had a couple of Zerglings out, but before really getting any more than a single roach here out on the map, he's just simply been building up a ton of additional structures and a ton of additional hatcheries here as well. Yoshi making sure that he's safe, going for another stasis ward here at the front, making sure that his opponent's Zerglings are not going to be capable of getting in here. And with the cannon follow-up, I guess that Yoshi is just going to try and sit back here and just simply defend against any kind of aggression. Now, little does he know, Cubaran has already been building up a stupid amount of bases. Now, considering he doesn't really have all too many Queen Injects going down, right? I actually don't really mind the mass expanding. And on top of that, of course, the rich mineral fields will start depleting very, very fast. So he's going to be capable of transferring these drones. I mean, already, look at this. This base is going to be mined out in just a couple of seconds. The thing is, though, that Protos is building up a very formidable air force already. And while he's got... you know, he doesn't really have, you know, all too much map presence just yet, until this very moment where he's moving out across the map with a couple of his Stargate units. We all know what happens when Protoss players happen to max out on a lot of air units. They do a lot of damage, and it's most definitely possible to do so off of 2 bases. So Yoshi, while he's looking a little bit, you know, a little bit skinny when it comes to the amount of bases that he's got more than enough to make a lot of units. And Cubaran, while he's got that Hydra den down and he's going up to a hive right now, he's got absolutely nothing that can easily deal with all of these units. Phoenix is also now hanging out in the corner of the map, not being activated just yet. I guess he may be waiting here for the reinforcing Phoenixes to come out as well. Corrosive Biles trying to get landed right there on that stasis ward, just barely not reaching. Stasis ward will stay alive here for the time being, but the Oracles are heading in towards the main base of the Zerg player. There we go. Come on now, Yoshi. Come on now, Yoshi. Oh, he's activating the ability a little bit preemptively. Going after the spawning pool. Very interesting decision right there to try and nuke down the spawning pool instead of, like, going for any kind of units here that will actually be able to, you know, slow down the Zerg. I mean, the spawning pool is probably the least of his worries right now, but at the same time, stasis wards were activated on the other end of the map. Double Photon Overcharge will get rid of that single Hydralisk and Zergling that were poking around, and while the main base is indeed getting ransacked right now, Yoshi is also going after the hive, and I wonder, does he have enough energy to actually finish off the hive? This could become a bit of an issue. Double Spire going down right now as well, Ultralisk Cavern being built up as well, because I think that Cubaran is assuming that his Nexus, or his hatchery rather, will end up falling, and I don't think that he plans on creating a second lair at this point in the game. The question is, though, is there enough energy here? I mean, you can see Cubaran is, you know, he's still got a bit of HP here on the hive. The Oracles are starting to run very low, but I think it's just barely enough, and indeed the main base of the Zerg ends up falling. Spire, however, just about to finish up, and I think that Oracles would be absolutely shut down, of course, by the Corruptor. Corruptors are very, very good against air units in general, in particular against Phoenixes. The thing, though, that of course the Protoss can switch into is going to be the Void Ray. If you see any Void Rays here on the production tab very short, Yoshi is going to be capable of getting a lot of stuff. Now, speaking of which, by the way, remember when I mentioned that I've seen a lot of Zerg players go for some very quick gold bases and not being able to spend their resources. Already, Cuberon is banking up to 7,000 minerals at this point in the game. He doesn't really have a whole lot of gas income. I mean, he's got the single gas right here. He's taking the gas guys here over in the natural as well. But other than that, there's very little that's actually helping him out at this point in the game. And while the bases in the bottom left have now also got some tech over at them, I mean, this is still going to be very tricky. So he has spread out all of these different tech buildings, right? Look at that. Cuberon has got a Ultralisk cavern in the top right, a Spire in the bottom left, and he's losing his main and his natural. But at this point, the Protoss has absolutely no idea about these bases that are currently hidden in the corners. I'm sure that he will find out, though, in just a couple of seconds. And actually, Yoshi, I mean, I would really love to see him take a third base right now. He's got plenty of resources himself as well. You know, banking up over 4,000 in total, which is most definitely more than you want to have on 2 bases. But I guess the Yoshi is smelling blood, and he's assuming that he's taking the last bases of his opponent. Little does he know, 2 more hatcheries have indeed been taken, or make that 3 actually. Another one has also been taken here at the potential third base of the Protoss. Little does he know, he's got to deal with a whole lot more than the ones that he's seen so far. Gold base will be spotted now. There's plenty of Spore Crawlers here, as well as a whole lot of Hydralisk that will allow Cuberon to hold on to the base here, at the very least for right now. New spawning pool was created, as well as a new lair, of course, very important. I mean, he's protecting this base to the best of his abilities. Mineral fields, however, are running very low, and that's indeed the last of the mineral patches that are currently also disappearing, with this last rich mineral field only having 34 resources at them remaining. Base in the bottom left corner does not have any static defense at them whatsoever, so I think that Yoshi is going to be able to start dealing some damage here as well. And even though, I mean, Zerg had a good idea and a very good opener in the earlier part of the game, he's starting to look like he's not going to be capable of holding on for very much longer. He's even lifting up the larva. I don't know if that's worth it, but he's even lifting up the larva. He's going to be capable of snapping down or beaming away right there at that Spire, picking up all of these loose Hydralisk. Of course, Hydralisk do take a lot of damage from units such as the Phoenix. They deal bonus damage against light, and that will allow them to kill these Hydralisk with relative ease. Of course, you do have to have the APM to actually nuke them down and pick up the units in time, and it looks like at the very least 4 right now. Yoshi is losing a little bit more than he absolutely needed to, but eventually he's going to be capable of getting rid of most of the Hydras. One of them is still hanging here on the low ground. He finally does find that one as well, and most of the base here in the bottom left corner will end up falling as well. But more and more has indeed been taken, and I mean, I would really love to see a follow-up with Ultralisk. You gotta keep in mind, Hydralisk, you know, of course, are pretty good against dealing with, you know, Phoenixes in big numbers, but the Phoenixes cannot, you know, easily, like, the thing is, Hydras are great if you can get them grouped up together, and you can engage all of these units, you know, in one fellow swoop, I suppose. If the Hydras die in smaller groups like they have been doing thus far, it's very tricky to get any work with them in whatsoever. And the thing is that, of course, Ultralisk are incredibly good at, you know, not getting lifted up. I mean, they just don't get hit by neither of these, or either of these air units whatsoever. Of course, Voice Race would be very good against Ultras, but for now, I've not seen a single one just yet. Instead, Zerglings are being sacrificed here to the Blood God. They're made sure here to die at Yoshi's hands. There's a bunch of photon cannons. I think that one of the cannons may have ended up getting killed there, but other than that, I'm pretty sure that most of the bases have indeed been taken care of. But little does Yoshi know, there's an entire top right corner that has also been occupied with a lot of different Zerg bases. Ultralisk finally now also being produced. Are there any additional upgrades here? Looks like there is indeed +1/+1 as well, so that does make the Ultras just a tad more tanky. But with the chitinous plating just about to finish up, the Ultras can chomp away through a lot of this base with relative ease. 17 drones on the production tab right now as well. I wonder how Cuberon is going to spend all of his resources, but he's done a reasonable job at that so far. I mean, Yoshi is really the one that's been banking up a ton more stuff. I don't think he's really been producing out of the Stargates for a little while. Indeed, he's queuing up a lot of units right at this point in the game, just to make sure that he's getting at the very least his money's worth. But I wonder though, is he gonna be in an alright position once these bases start running out? I mean, his Zerg opponent, right, while he's lost a lot, he's still adding on a ton of additional production. And with these Spore Crawlers finishing up in the different bases, it's gonna be difficult to really take all of these units out. Ultralisk are done right now. No Zergling speed at this point in the game just yet. I would really love to see that as well. Would be making this significantly easier. Spore Crawlers are once again being taken care of right here by just a handful of Oracles. And it looks like that with the help of these Oracles here, as well as the Mothership Core, that hatchery will end up falling. Now, besides, of course, going for... You gotta attack move, dude. You gotta attack move. There we go. There we go. Besides, of course, going for the Ultralisk, I would love to switch right now to Corruptor. Mass Corruptor is most definitely the best option against this, just because they will be dealing a lot more damage than these Mutas can. Mutas will get picked up by these Phoenixes, absolutely no problem. Zerg is finally starting to take care, though, of a lot of these buildings here, and eventually all of the probes here in the natural do end up falling. Ultralisk chomping their way through the natural, but it looks like at least 4 right now, they will be forced to retreat as well. And finally, we see an army here for the Zerg that's being built up that can easily deal with all of these air units. Just a handful of Corruptor, I think you only need about 10 or so, will be more than enough to take care of all of these units, because you gotta keep in mind, Oracles cannot shoot up. It's really only going to be the Phoenixes that can do so, and there's only a handful of those remaining at this point in the game. There's actually 15 Phoenixes and 9 Oracles. Just your regular Silver League Zerg versus Protos right there. There's 6 Corruptor right now. I think that if he gets an additional 6, he should be capable of dealing with all of these units, at least if he's all engaging them at the correct moment, right? If he's not, you know, if he's not being very careful, this could still be an issue. More and more Stasis Wards being put at the front right here. Of course, Ultralisk don't really care all too much for those. But I think that as long as there's a bunch more Corruptor out, he's going to be capable of dealing with all of these units just fine. Don't even consider making Mutas, though. Mutas are a bad choice. Now, if you're going to lose a couple of these Corruptors just one by one, that will become a bit of a problem. Another Corruptor desperately trying to fly towards his buddies. Looks like he will be able to make it. But with this many Phoenixes, I mean, you're going to need to have an overwhelming force, right? With this many Phoenixes, the Phoenixes will be able to take care of them just fine. Still, though, a lot of Spore Crawlers are capable of shooting away at all of these units whenever they fly over them. And of course, Phoenixes cannot pick up building once again. They're doing a little bit of damage here and there, but Zerg is still building up a force. 13 more drones in the production tab, additional stasis wards being made as well. But finally, do we see some Void Rays being added on? And I think this is most definitely the correct choice. Once again, though, we see those Mutas being added on right now. Mutalisk are pretty decent, but they're not incredible in small numbers. I mean, you really are gonna have to have something to shoot away at these Phoenixes. All what it really comes down to, though, is that you either get a big clump of Mutas, or you get a big clump of Corruptors, or you get a big clump of Hydras. You need to make sure that they are grouped up together. If you're trickling them in one by one, of course, all of these Zerg units will get picked off almost right from the get-go. Cubarando still got a lot of income. I mean, in total, he's got 62 workers. The blue Protoss right now is still mining with only 9 probes, not securing a third base just yet. I would really love to see him take that third, because I think it will be able to help him, you know, close out this game pretty easily. I mean, he's got a very formidable force already, and while he's not ahead when it comes to his supply counts right now, I mean, he's going to be capable of building a Protoss force, right? The Golden Armada, we all know it. It's extremely powerful. Looks like, however, he's going to go for the natural at the very least for a little while. Maybe able to pick up the drones over here at this base. Indeed, this base is completely unguarded, but apparently Yoshi is indeed a merciful god, and he will allow his opponent to mine from that base for a little while longer. Prismatic Alignment being activated right now as well. Cubaron will be forced to move here, and of course, Prismatic Alignment will allow these Void Rays to deal bonus damage against armored units, such as, for example, the Corruptor, and that's really where this army becomes a little bit scary. Cubaron, he will need to overwhelm his opponent. He will need to Zerg him down. He will need to make sure that he groups up all of the units together and just simply deal a massive amount of damage. He's at 131 supply right now. He's slowly, you know, poking away at his opponent's army, but Yoshi's got a very scary force though. Look at this. The main almost, you know, the natural rudder is almost mined out as well. So that does mean that these last 7,000 resources that Yoshi has are going to be the last ones that he will have for the remainder of this game. The question is, though, is he going to be capable of closing out the game with the units that he's got right now? He's going in once again, activating that Prismatic Alignment, killing a lot of these Zerg units, and the Zerg is slowly losing so many of these forces. I mean, sure, the Ultralisk will be able to, you know, deal a little bit of damage here to the natural once again, and maybe get rid of the last mining workers, but is that really worth it? I feel like Cubaron is throwing away a bit too many resources here just on trying to deal a little bit of damage, and instead, he should just simply be grouping up all of his units and overwhelm his opponent with 200 supply worth of any anti-air unit. The couple of Mutas just like that, they're just simply not gonna cut it. They will get picked off by these Phoenixes with relative ease, and the Phoenixes are indeed on the prowl right now. These Mutas will not be able to do anything. Now, there are a whole bunch of cannons here ready to defend against these Stargates as well, but of course, Phoenixes can indeed shoot and move at the same time, and more Zerglings, as well as Mutalisk, as well as Corruptors, and basically all of the Zerg units get sacrificed there in favor of the Overmind. I guess the Overmind was sacrificed or was demanding blood offers today. I'm not entirely sure why, but Cubaron, he's been mining from the entire map. He's mined a ton of resources here in total. He's still getting a substantial amount of income. He's just not spending his money in the correct way. Here's what you need to do once again. Just rally all your units and all your bases to one single location. Just group up with everything that you got and stop trickling in the units one by one, because the Corruptors will just get picked up by all of the Void Rays unless you can overwhelm them in just simply superior numbers. Hive once again going down. I think that there is still a lair here over at the initial gold base that he took. He's gonna go for another Hive here. Maybe he's looking to get some additional upgrades, who knows. But I'm starting to get a little worried here though. I mean, Yoshi, right? While he's still got a lot of resources, his bank will start plummeting here shortly. I mean, if the Zerg starts engaging in a bit more of a thoughtful manner, he's gonna be capable of dealing with all of these units just fine. However, Yoshi's bank is depleting very rapidly. I mean, he's only got, and I say only, right, he's only got 4,500 resources. That is what he needs to close out this game with, because he doesn't seem to be taking a third base at any point during this match. Once again, Stasis Ward will be able to keep all of these Zerglings here at bay for a little while longer, but Protos is actually on the prowl right now. I mean, he's taken out a lot of bases already. He's killed a heck of a lot of workers here. There's actually 33 that went down in total, which is most definitely a pretty solid amount. But Zerg has just been remaking all of it, and Protos has absolutely no idea about all of these bases over here in the other end of the map. Basically, though, he can make the assumption now that all of these bases are going to be taken. I mean, Zerg taking another expansion once again. If he just simply groups up his units all together, though, and he seems to be doing at least a decent job at that right now. He's got 13 Corruptors out. If he just simply puts all of the units together, and this is one of the few occasions where the all-army hotkey is most definitely the way to go, he's going to be capable of overrunning all of these Protoss units, right? Now, Yoshi's still protecting the Stargates that he's got with a handful of cannons. I don't know if it's going to be enough, Yoshi. You may want to put up some more cannons, dude. What if the Mutas come in and kill your precious Stargates, right? We'll see. We'll see if that's going to be the case. But the Golden Armada is currently on the move. He's going to try his very best to clean out the game with the units that he's got. Now, once more, Protoss will be facing off against Ultralisk. Ultralisk will, get easily picked off by all of these Protoss units. And while there are, quite a lot of Void Rays available, I still think that Hydra Corruptor is going to be the superior choice. But it doesn't really matter right now. Protoss is on the prowl. He's going to try and do whatever damage he can. However, Zerg does realize that he may not be able to win that game, and it looks like he may be looking to go for the counter attack instead. And actually, I was just joking here, Yoshi. You don't actually want to make additional cannons, dude. Are you kidding me? He's adding on additional cannons here to try and get rid of all of these units, and I think it's going to be the correct choice as well, because the Mutas, once again, get absolutely obliterated. While all of the Protoss units are occupied in the bottom left corner, and they will be able to take out one of the bases, the Zerg is trying to take down the Stargates. Now, one of the Stargates will end up falling, but so many of these cannons get the value in that they were looking for. Once again, though, Corruptors are trying to fly away. I mean, I guess one Stargate ended up falling and maybe a cannon or two. But other than that, that was a huge amount of supply that dropped there for the Zerg player in red. And it ended up killing a whole lot of nothing. More cannons being added on right now at the front as well. Protoss still trying to do whatever damage he can. Of course, you gotta be careful here. Revelation being used, so you can't keep track of all of these Zerg units. And apparently that does trigger Zerg to get rid of all of these units, because the Void Rays are here. He's engaging valiantly, but Prismatic Alignment is so very powerful. It will get rid of all of these Corruptors with relative ease. And look at this. So much damage is once again being dealt. Q-Baron is dropping and plummeting here in army supply. But the question is this enough here for the Zerg player? Did he do enough damage? I mean, once again, he's been playing extremely inefficiently, right? He's been throwing away units one after the other instead of just simply maxing out and overwhelming his opponent. He's still dealing with so much, and once again, at the 24-minute mark, or nearly the 24-minute mark, more drones are in the production tab. Cubaron, while trading the most inefficiently, I don't think you can trade any more inefficiently as he's done so far. He's slowly cleaning up all of these Protoss units. Cannons being built, of course. Yoshi needs to protect what is rightfully his. He's got a couple more mineral patches remaining here, but all of them are looking very, very low. Only a whopping 6 probes here in total. But I'm starting to get a little worried for him here, because even though his army supply looked very, very staggering earlier, he did not really, you know, harass as efficiently as he could have. I mean, sure, a couple of spore crawlers slowed him down, but a lot of these bases were absolutely vulnerable. And I think that for both players, there were most definitely moments in this game where they could have easily closed it out. Both of them could have easily closed it out. I mean, Yoshi was substantially ahead in the army supply earlier. He's cleaned up so many of the units. And I mean, let's be fair here, the Golden Armada, the Protoss air units have been extremely cost efficient, but Zerg has just simply been mining off of like, I don't know, 12 bases in total during the entirety of this match. And I think that while Yoshi may be able to clean up a base or two with the units that he's got left over, eventually with the amount of Hydras that Kubaran is currently producing, he should be capable of overwhelming his, or he should be able to overwhelm his opponent with relative ease. Kubaran just finally starting to group those units up together. No, don't engage just yet. Come on, Kubaran, do it one time. Do it one time, just wait for a second, put all your units together, maybe get your Zerging speed, your Hydra speed, and all those kinds of upgrades as well, but just simply put all of your army in one big clump, and then engage the Protoss player all at once. Sure, there's gonna be a lot of cannons, but I think you can overwhelm him. And also, stop making mutas. Mutas are really not worth it in these kinds of scenarios. I mean, Protoss air units deal with mutas quite well. Mutas are great as an harassment tool, and sometimes you can overwhelm your opponent with them, but they're not that great as an anti-air measure. Zerg units, though, have made their way towards the final army here of the Protoss. Prismatic alignment that deals bonus damage against armored is getting activated here as well. There are no armored units present in this army, but I think that eventually, with the mass expansion strategy, Kubaran will be able to overwhelm his opponent. All he needs to do right now is kill the last of the buildings, or I guess Yoshi has to go ahead and GG out. Kubaran says Harfest to win. I actually don't know if I totally agree with that. I mean, sure that Zerg, generally speaking, is going to be the one that, you know, overwhelms their opponent by just simply swarming them down. Kubaran, though, was not necessarily swarming. He was more or less like trickling units in one at a time. I hope you enjoyed watching this video nonetheless. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you in the next one.